I'll do
Guys, I have stage fright.
it. No, I'm doing it right here. All right. Hey.
Welcome to TFS Insider.
Hi, everybody. My name is Callie Schaefer. I'm a senior here at Iowa State studying apparel merchandising and design. And this is my third year being involved in the fashion show and my first year being involved in digital media. And I am one of your hosts for this year's podcast.
Hello, everybody. I am another one of your main hosts. My name is Edgar. I am a junior studying apparel merchandising and design, and this is actually my first time in the fashion show in general. So, pretty
Exciting stuff.
exciting stuff. Yeah.
And I'm Claire. I'm a junior studying business, and this is my second year in the fashion show.
We're super excited to share all of the things that are going to come along with the fashion show this year.
So a quick overview of what this episode's going to be.
Yeah, today's episode is TFS 101, and we're basically just going to give you guys a rundown of all of the 15 different committees that make up the Iowa State Fashion Show and kind of an overview, brief summary of what some of these committees do or what they all do. There's no way that we could sit here and list everything out and every responsibility and everything that goes into the fashion show. But just to give you guys a general understanding for the rest of the things we talk about this season on TFS Insider.
TFS 101.
The 15 committees we have this year include alumni relations, art, behind the scenes, design, finance, visual merchandising, marketing, modeling, digital media, philanthropy, photography, public relations, set design, social media, and special events. For all of the committees that make up the fashion show are open to anybody, any student on campus. So even if you're not an AMD major, not a fashion major, which
Business major, it's me.
Claire's not, you have a place on any of these teams, and that's why we have so many different committees, is to open up the doors to everybody.
A
So
lot of different skill sets necessary to put on a production like this.
absolutely. So there's a spot for everyone.
Holy moly.
Holy moly, guaca. Our first of our 15 committees that make up the fashion show this year is Alumni Relations. Alumni Relations oversees all things alumni. Their biggest responsibilities include selecting guest judges for the show and coordinating their schedule while in Ames.
They ultimately choose 4 industry professionals to serve as guest judges on Iowa State's campus. They typically tend to be Iowa State alumni, whether that be through undergrad or like a master's, PhD student.
So they also create a campaign which is known as the Alumni Spotlight, in which they work with social media to post.
They plan and promote new alumni events for past TFS alumni, donors, and faculty. And this event takes place the day of the show and is a pretty big deal over here.
They also run the TFS LinkedIn page so they can help establish new connections to past alumni and maintain the ones that they currently have.
Alumni relations is all about maintaining, creating, and keeping the relationships between the Iowa State students that are a part of TFS and alumni from Iowa State who potentially even had their own experience
With the fashion show.
with the fashion show and any other alumni-related activities and communications and connections is all part of alumni relations.
Iowa State alumni love Iowa State students. It's
Yeah.
really unique to our university. You want to see where you came from do better and give back. And that's a really good part about alumni relations. They're able to kind of bridge that gap between alumni and the current students.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how much interaction alumni has with the fashion show every year, because you can tell it's something to be proud of for years to come. Let's talk about art. Our second committee is art.
So essentially what art does is they pretty much just design any flyers, any graphics, anything art related for the fashion show.
Art's behind the main theme and the branding of the fashion show.
Yeah, they're responsible for maintaining the brand image, I guess, that we kind of have.
Maintaining and creating.
Yeah, because we do revamp every year a little bit.
New theme, new
New
mood boards.
theme, new mood. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So they're kind of in charge of bridging the gap art is all about designing the imagery that we use throughout the whole season of the show. So all committees across the board collaborate with art. All of the imagery we use on the website for digital media, for even our podcast, like cover photo, like everything is created by art. That's what they're good at. That's what they do. They design and develop programs, including information about our guest judges, the guest designers we get to bring on, the student designers who have work in the show, the AMD program itself, categories and awards that we give out at the show. Basically, they design a program involving all of the information relative to the show. So there's a lot of thought process that goes into everything in that piece of it.
They develop media presentations for the show, which includes the garment information during the show.
Art direction is also in charge of designing our t-shirts that our committees and directors will wear, and that will also be available for purchase later on in the year.
They also design award certificates to give out the day of the show and also design the sponsor logos and advertisements.
They collaborate with all committees at some point, especially social media, by creating marketing materials. Anything fashion show related that gets put out is gone through the process with art and has been seen by art, if not designed by art. So they're pretty
They're
pretty involved, I
yeah.
would say. Behind the scenes is our next committee. BTS is involved in a lot of the Fashion Week events, I think, leading up to the actual show, but their big main focus is behind the scenes day, which is a day that they take in high schoolers from the area, and a lot of them, and they kind of give them a really fast, like, here's everything that we do for the fashion show. Here's what it looks like. Here's
Bring 'em
everything
on
that goes into
campus.
it. Yeah, it's behind the scenes of the fashion show. And so they put on a really cool experience for high school students to show them how cool we are here at Iowa State.
And then they also have creative little projects that they do to create publicity for the fashion show, in which they collaborate with like marketing and other committees.
And dual marketing collaboration with other entities. Overall, behind the scenes committee is all about planning and implementing behind the scenes day, which is another really big event that is a part of the grand scheme of TFS. Moving on to design. Design, our next committee is a big one. She's a doozy. She handles a lot.
She handles fit night, judging day, the order in which the models and the garments come out, and they also handle every single garment once it is in their possession.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Possession. So they take care of the clothing.
There's
and
a
the
lot
models.
of organization and planning that comes along with design, and a lot of coordination between Iowa State designers and modeling and virtually every other committee that's a part of the fashion show. And the events that they're in charge of too, like Fit Night and Judging Day, are pretty big, extravagant events as well. Fit Night includes all of the models trying on their garments, getting photographed in their garments, measured for their garments, etc. It's kind of just picking out who's going to wear what and trying to get all of that organized. And then Judging Day is doing the same thing again, getting all the models in their outfits and also presenting separately to our guest judges, brought to you by Alumni Relations, to take a closer look at all of the student designed garments as well that day. They also developed an efficient system for garment organization and mounted exhibits at Stevens Auditorium, which is where we host the fashion show.
So design is pretty much in charge of all the designers.
All right, next up, digital media. That's us.
So digital media is our committee, and we oversee all things audio and visual for the show. So that includes things like the podcast.
Just like you're watching or listening to, we help curate the playlist used by other committees, such as previously mentioned modeling. We also have our in-house DJ.
Woo!
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the first time that we're doing it, but we are also producing the music ourselves, which is interesting and kind of excited.
Yeah, digital media's kind of had a revamp this year. It's actually the first time it's ever been called digital media. So there's a little bit of rebranding and refreshing to do, but for the first time ever, we have a DJ in the studio with us currently.
And that is me, for those who don't know.
If that hasn't been picked up on yet. Normally we hire a DJ to make music for the show. However, we're making it in-house this
Yeah.
year, so we're excited about that.
What else? What else?
Another thing we create is also the intermission video. And then
We also are in charge of MCs and auditioning them and picking them for the show as well. We work with all of the different committees at some point for content creation and getting content for the intermission video, which is to encapsulate kind of everything that goes into TFS. But yeah, we also do a merch video.
In the website where you can get updates on the fashion show, so sponsor, alumni spotlight. Essentially, we do the digital media presence. Finance. They do finance. Our finance committee consists of 2 directors. What the finance committee essentially does is they create and control all of our budgets for the fashion show. So they help procure Stevens Auditorium. They budget for that. They budget for everyone's equipment or software that they need. And they ultimately update us and tell us where we're at financially. They do a really great job at it, and they're amazing.
The next committee we're going to talk about is visual merchandising.
they handle the visual side of things, such as installing cases in LeBaron Hall, Memorial Union, pretty much any around Ames as well. They work with businesses to kind of put up little visual displays promoting the fashion show, in which they also do work with the bookstore as well.
And Parks Library, right?
Yeah, we usually do a install right outside the front, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Visual merchandising also handles the design and installation of the display of the 2D and 3D entries entered into the fashion show for judging day. Visual merchandising also works on displays for not only the winning garments from the show, but also just a post-show exhibit as well. Visual merchandising basically encompasses all of the visual displays that come along with the fashion show, which includes a multitude of different areas and spaces.
Up next, marketing.
The marketing committee pretty much markets out the fashion show. They curate little like social media giveaways with local businesses here, as well as helping promote the fashion show with organizations.
So they'll collaborate with different businesses like Blaze, and we'll hold little fundraisers on different nights through companies like that around town, which is really cool to see support for TFS also in the community.
The marketing committee helps to organize basketball fundraisers, tabling events to get people excited and more informed about what the fashion show is. And they also distribute the programs the day of the fashion show.
They complete key campus marketing processes, including a campus-wide email advertising the show, listings for the fashion show on all relevant university calendars, and utilizing the flyer distribution service for the TFS 2024 posters.
They're pretty heavy on advertising and fundraising for the fashion shows.
Our next committee is modeling, and modeling has everything to do with all of the models for the show. So they manage a selection process for the models. They hold auditions, and they have a whole system that they, within their committee, go through in order to select their models for the show. They also then will practice with those models for the rest of the TFS season in order to get all of their choreography and everything down for show day. They also are in charge of selecting makeup artists and hairstylists for the show and picking out makeup and hair looks as well. They get to kind of be creative in that department, which is really fun. The modeling committee also collaborates with design directors for Fit Night and Judging Day. Obviously, the models are present for both of those events. The collaboration there is necessary. And of course, day of show, they're working backstage with the models and design directly to give all of their models the cues in order to make it out on stage on time. Philanthropy!
So the philanthropy committee mainly does outreach within the Ames community and also volunteering opportunities.
Such as hug hats and also dress for success. Pretty much overall, their main goal is to establish a good relationship with the Ames community here by helping out in any way they can. So they also explore new fundraising efforts for philanthropic benefit, in which they just kind of create these events to establish relationships with additional organizations to kind of build a community with the fashion show.
Photography. So, what does the photography committee do? They serve as photographers, obviously, for all fashion show events and program content. The photography committee also documents the process of the show from start to beginning, all in photo content. And they also edit them, and they edit the garment photos for the designers' portfolios. And just kind of give the overall inside view of what the fashion show is through photographs. Next up is PR, or public relations. So, what does that committee do?
The PR committee is in charge of basically our publicity for the show.
They promote the fashion show through media collaborations outside of Iowa State. So, newspapers, TV, radio, online publications. They also work with the Daily, which is Iowa State's newspaper, to promote all events associated with the show. And they also collaborate with local businesses for social media giveaways.
They're in charge of
Maintaining our image.
in a positive note, in which they promote us in different forms of media.
They also distribute programs at the fashion show and think creatively to find any additional ways to create events for publicity and dual marketing collaboration with other entities outside of Iowa State University. Next up is set design, and set design is in charge of the set design for the show. So they propose ideas for the class to decide based on this year's theme. And these all obviously relate back to the theme of the year. And they kind of just serve as a set crew. And they build it themselves. They're responsible for finding a place to store and build the materials and the set as they're building it in all of the time leading up to the show. And they have the potential to collaborate with our guest designer, which is really cool.
This year, they are really striving for sustainability as well, which is a really interesting thing, and I really like that's what they're going for this semester, or this year, I should say.
They work tirelessly through the semester to build us a beautiful set that will function and work in Stevens Auditorium, and that will match the theme of the year, and will really provide a space to show off all of the beautiful garments that come from the student designers and our guest designer this year.
Social media.
Social media is all about our communication through different platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. They do a lot of collaboration specifically with art and photography, but in all committees, because we want all events in all committees to be showcased on social media.
And they also maintain the fashion show brand. They work together with the marketing committee to help promote donors through social media, and they also advertise the fashion show merchandise.
They think creatively to find additional ways to create events for publicity and different posts that they can make to draw attraction to TFS and bring attention to the wonderful thing that we do here on campus every year. They also track and analyze social media analytics to evaluate the success of their various campaigns and how to move accordingly due to that information. And they also organize a Fashion Week event in collaboration with photography.
Last but not least, we have the special event committee, in which they just organize all the special events that we have, such as the Meet the Judges evening event. Pretty much just gives all the students to pretty much network with all the industry experts, which is a really good way to, get your name out there. Callie, I know that's how you kind of got an internship.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Another event that they organize is the launch party, in which they announce the guest designer, the theme, and any other features that are utilized for the fashion show. Another event they plan is the Fashions Night Out, which is the pre-show celebration for the fashion show. And then they also organize some events for Fashion Week as well too.
So yeah, that is all 15 of the committees and just a brief kind of overview and breakdown of all of the 15 different areas of expertise we have on the TFS team and how much goes into each of those committees and the fashion show as a whole.
Definitely stay tuned for what we have. Pretty much not only with just the podcast itself, but pretty much our social medias. What are you two doing?
I'm
You both
viewing. I'm Callie,
I'm Claire.
I'm Edgar.
and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of TFS Insider.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for the next one.
I'm going to cut it.
The-
We have as many takes as you want.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want one.
You
That's what I'm
just
struggling
want
with.
Somebody else talk.
I'll try. Okay.
This is so